Welcome back to today's build. I'll be your guide to this wonderful game we all love. Let's get started.
Today's deck is a living nightmare. Her name is Braids, and this is the Nut Tap. Braids is a 3/3 that lets us sacrifice a non-battle permanent to minigame our opponents into losing 2 life and drawing us a card, or sacrificing one of their own things. Braids is a terrific card draw engine, working to generate value over time, starting the turn she comes down, so we'll want to play her as early as is practical. Which, sadly for us, isn't any earlier than her mana value would indicate. See, Braids needs something worth sacrificing on the field for her to do us any good, which means getting her out earlier than turn 3 deprives us of a lot of setup time, so we'll simply commit to casting her on turn 3 every game. We'll pack the deck with permanents that we can play for 1 to 2 mana that will advance our board when we sacrifice to Braids to draw on turn 3, and draw into bigger effects later. Some commanders have decks that are built to serve the commander, others have decks that the commander exists to serve. Let's call these Type A and Type B decks. Braids will be a Type B deck, as her primary function is only to churn through the cards in our deck to find other things, so our win will likely come in the form of a combo that she helps us find. The biggest trap to avoid with these kinds of cards is playing creatures whose only purpose is to be sacrificed and do nothing. Like with Unhello, the creatures we sacrifice need to be those that push forward our game plan and advance our strategy beyond resolving the trigger from Braids. Don't waste bodies. On that note, Reassembling Skeleton, Ophiomancer, and Dreadhorde Invasion are by far the worst offenders here, though Jadar, Ghoulcaller of Nephalia, and Bitterblossom aren't far behind. Again, we want bodies to sacrifice that actually do something for us. If we instead play this suite of discard dorks, we can essentially make Braids act like a Phyrexian Praetor, drawing us cards and costing our opponents cards. Zulaport Cutthroat, Ayara, and Blood Artist do way too little in this deck. We only get to sacrifice Braids once per turn on our end step, so these creatures drain at most 1 life each turn. And if we played them on turn 2, then we can't sack them to Braids or they'll do no work at all. While Ayara comes down turn 4 at earliest and doesn't interact with any of the non-creature sack fodder we're playing. People bagged on Vran Executioner Thane for only triggering once each turn, but Vran is actually better than these two in this deck, and he still might not be worth running. Sir Conrad falls into the same category, but could honestly be cut for mana cost alone. Throw these out. Solemn Simulacrum is one of our only available ramp pieces, and on top of that, he draws us an extra card on death, but we just have more exciting things to be doing on turn 4 than this. Likewise, Turgid won't do a lot for us. She really just ensures that the only time our opponents will ever sacrifice things to us will be if they're tokens, which they were likely to do anyway. As expensive to cast as Turgid is, in colors that don't ramp very well to begin with, I can't justify this here. Mycosynth Wellspring does not belong here. Unlike its cousins Ichor Wellspring and Prize Statue, Mycosynth puts these lands in our hand, and we don't have any way to play the extra lands that are sure to be clogging up our hand with all the card draw that Braids provides. You can only play 1 land each turn, and we're not exactly struggling to find our land drops. At time of recording, Shieldred costs $80. The life we gain from our card draw does not justify this price tag. There is no point in time in which we can play her and still have something else impactful to deploy on our turn. She gains us more life than she costs our opponents, and you don't win the game by gaining a bunch of life, at least by default. Don't bother slotting this in. So, what's our timeline? Well, turn 1 we'll play out Serrated Scorpion, Bloodsoaked Champion, and Cult Conscript to be sacrificed and recurred over and over again in the later game. We also have Vicious Rumors and Okaiba Reckoner Raid to pressure our opponent's life totals and pad our own. We're not keeping a lot of blockers around after all. Turn 2, we can play a suite of discard dorks to strip interaction from our opponent's hands and possibly even fill their graveyard for a later reanimate. We're also playing Ichor Wellspring, Noble's Purse, and Prize Statue to help us further set up our resources. Turn 3 is always Braids. We'll sacrifice whatever we played on an earlier turn and draw 3 cards. Turn 4 is where things start to take off. We need mana and tutors, so Cabal Coffers and Cabal Stronghold will suit us well here, but not Urborg. Urborg fixes our opponent's mana a lot more than it helps us, and we don't need to spend the money on one. Siphon Mind and Treacherous Blessing will help us dig through the deck, while Gixian Puppeteer, Undying Malice, and Supernatural Stamina can help recover some pieces we've sent to the bin for further use, and the Puppeteer can also pad our life total while pressuring our opponents. Brain Spoil, Diabolic Tutor, and Mastermind's Acquisition, as well as a suite of other tutors, will help us turn through the deck for our endgame. What could we be finding for 5 mana, you ask? Well, it'll either show off the oppressive, Painful Quandary, or help us close out the game with an Exquisite Blood combo. We'll also be running Vito Thorn of Duskrose and the Malakir Blood Priest. The deck is a little slow, but very tightly wound, and really puts in the chip damage without having to go to combat. That said, I think in all the time I've had it, I've won on turn 6 exactly once, so forget about anything earlier. Take this to your next 7-pod.
If you like this video, leave a like and subscribe for more. Thanks for watching!